Hi everyone, so today I want to show you a really great cream cheese frosting recipe. I think a lot of times it can be tricky because we're not exactly sure of the ratios or how much to mix or how soft things should be. So I'm going to go over all those things with you and my recipe, and I'm going to go ahead and put you over the mixer so you can see my consistencies and really get a good idea of how to get a nice stiff cream cheese frosting. Here we go. With my butter and cream cheese, and I want to show you the consistency because sometimes it can be tricky, and I think the biggest problem is that it ends up getting too soft. So I have had these out at room temperature for about a couple hours, and you can see that I can push into it, but it isn't like melty soft, okay? And it's still a little bit firm but not hard, if that makes sense. So I can still, push all the way through, but it is not melty. You don't see any gooey. It's not liquidy at all. You want a little bit of that firmness. So even though it's at room temperature, it's still a little stiff. And the same with my cream cheese. If it gets too soft or melty, then you're going to have troubles with it really wanting to be stable or hold any kind of shape. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put on my whisk attachment, and one thing is keeping it on low. If you get it too high and you get too many air bubbles in, then what happens is that it can get too fluffy and it still won't hold a shape, which is not what we want. So we're going to mix this up until it starts to combine itself. And I'll have to scrape because it all wanted to sit in the center, but you want to get it just combined so that the powdered sugar goes in really well. So here it is just combined, and I haven't done anything but mix it. Now I'm going to add powdered sugar. So for this much cream cheese and butter, so it's 1 stick of butter and 4 ounces of cream cheese, I'm going to slowly add 4 cups of powdered sugar, and I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. So here we go. Here we go, nice and slow. All 4 cups in, I'm just going to let it go by itself. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to let it sit for a couple of minutes and keep stirring and combining. And then I'll come back and see once it's combined if I need to add a little bit of water, because we still want it to be smooth. We don't want it to be too thick. We still want it to be nice and smooth and beautiful. So I'm going to give this a couple minutes to mix, and then we'll probably have to add, it looks like, probably a tablespoon of water. So let me go ahead and grab that, and then we'll come right back to this. Alright, as we see this coming together, we can see it's still pretty stiff and pretty thick, and we don't want that. We want it to be a little smoother so we can work with it. So I'm going to add first half a tablespoon of water to see where that gets us. We don't want to add too much at once because that can cause us to get it too stiff. And you can see it starting to separate and mix in and get a little smoother there. And I'm going to go ahead and scrape everything down and probably add another half of a tablespoon. Here we are at 1 full tablespoon of water, and you can see how nicely it's coming together. I'm going to, again, keep it on low. I'll keep scraping it, but that's it. We're not going to add any more water unless it still stays too stiff, but I don't think it's going to. The more you work the butter and cream cheese, the more it's going to loosen up, and you don't want to have a puddly mess of the cream cheese and the butter separating and just being too goopy. So I'm going to let it work on itself, and then I'll show you here in a minute what it looks like. I am done mixing it. I added another half a teaspoon of water just to loosen it up a little so I had the right consistency for what I'm doing. I'm making a cake, and I'm using this on the outside for piping, so I really don't want it to get too soft. Much softer, and I'd really lose the ability to hold any sort of design. As I pull away, and you can kind of see, it has a nice good stiffness. It's not drooping, it's not falling off. It's really able to hold its own, and it's not too thick or too thin. Now at this point, now that you know your consistency is perfect, if you wanted to whip it just to make it a little bit lighter, a little bit airier, and a little less sweet, you could go ahead and whip it at this point. Now whipping it's going to put in a lot of air bubbles, so it will not be smooth, but it would be great for doing filling inside of a cake or for cupcakes. At this point, I am going to leave it just how it is. I'm not doing anything else to it. I'm going to go ahead and pipe my cake, and I can show you that as well, how it looks as it starts to come out. So if you have any questions about the recipe, go ahead and comment below. I'm happy to answer them for you. And give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more great baking videos. Have a good day.